Oh my god, this moth is so beautiful, don't you think? Below its chocolate brown exterior, it hides two very colorful hindwings. Its common name is the small-eyed Sphinx moth, or its binomial name, the Paonias myops. Stick around if you like them, because I want to show you their life cycle. Your favorite online entomologist Bart Coppens has done it again. Documented another life cycle of an awesome insect for you.
Moths! Moths! There are moths on my hand. Wow, what a surprise. But honestly, this is Bart Coppens and today I'm here with one of my favorite Sphinx moths from the United States. What are they and how do we breed them? I'm gonna show you right now!
These shiny, pale green orbs are the eggs of an awesome species of moth, the small-eyed Sphinx moth. The eggs hatch very fast and usually takes them out 7 days around 21 degrees Celsius. I personally let them hatch in a petri dish. Let's check back a week later. Time goes fast on this channel. Oh my god. Here they are, our little baby caterpillars. Isn't that just excellent? It means we can start another life cycle on my YouTube channel.
So, lots of babies, lots of babies, lots of babies, lots of babies, lots of babies. Yeah, how do we transfer that much babies? Oh my god. Oh, I know. The normal way. It's just going to take a lot of time. Thankfully, I am a loser who has no life, so I can do this all day. I can do this all day. I'm dumb YouTuber, you know? Scum of the earth. YouTubers, worst kind of people, narcissist, self-obsessed. That's me. I fit the description.
So, the babies can eat many kinds of plants, but in particular, they like many types of cherry. Cherry are plants from the genus of Prunus, and where this species is from, which is the United States of America, but also Canada and a small part of Mexico, there's various species of cherry. Often they are reported on choke cherry, black cherry and sour cherry. On top of that, it's reported they also feed on surface barrier amelanchier and tilia, which is known as basswood or lime tree. A few days later. So when the caterpillars start eating, their size increases dramatically. They do grow quite fast. Personally, I chose to raise them on Prunus pales or European bird cherry. Just within about 5 days, I saw some were already shedding their skins to the second instar. So I decided I needed a better container than just a plastic box. Okay, this is a little bit unusual, but I decided to raise them in a bucket. Actually, buckets can be used to raise caterpillars just fine, if you find something appropriate to cover them with. In this case, I wanted to ventilate it, so I would later cover it with netting. Anyway, in here they would have way more space and airflow, and I think that's an upgrade compared to a small plastic box. I hope they appreciate the space that I gave them. Look at our precious little worms. Okay, they don't look beautiful yet, but I guarantee you they will be eventually. They seem to prefer the cherry over all the other plants I gave them, so good. And now I cover the bucket. Here's a tip. Buy leggings or panties for women. Tie the legs into a knot and use it as a cover for the bucket. Oh, when I say panties in my language it means something different than in your language, okay? It means these, they're like these tights, right? That you can put around your legs. It will let through a lot of air and it breathes pretty well for ventilation. Just avoid the weird looks if you go to the supermarket to buy leggings for women every day. Unless you are a woman, of course. Or maybe I'm just insecure. Maybe it's just my toxic masculinity, huh? Imagine being so fragile that you're afraid of looking like a girl. That's kind of embarrassing, don't you think?
Bruh.
Well, it couldn't be me. Whatever. This method anyway. It works for a number of species. Let's move on. Let's forget that you ever saw this, okay? Let's check back again a few days later. Instar number 3. Looking a little bit more stripy here. And of course the size increased significantly. At this point I thought about upgrading their enclosure again to something more appropriate. I am also happy to have another MothCycles episode of a hawk moth. It's been a while since we have done an episode on a hawk moth. I think the last one we did was Hippotion celerio or the vine hawk moth. If you have suggestions about what hawk moths I should breed next, then write it in the comments, because I'm open to suggestions. I was thinking maybe the elephant hawk moth or the death's head hawk moth, who knows. Alright, introducing them to a larger cage now. Let's see how they fare. Let's forget that you ever saw this, okay? Let's check back again a few days later. Instar number 4. So they went from a tiny green worm to a bigger green worm. Fantastic! The shape of their head capsule is pointy, something which many Smerinthinae hawk moths share with them. Those of you who are into hawk moths will know what that means. Incredible stuff. Some of them can have brown or reddish dots on their body, but not all of them seem to have this trait. In my opinion, this species is not difficult to raise, and they perform well in captivity on several types of cherry. There's a chance that if you are from the USA or Canada, you can easily find these in your area and raise them yourself, just like I did in this video. Just find a female and she will readily lay a lot of eggs for you. I noticed that some of them are about to shed their skins too to the final instar, or instar number 5. So I guess I'll leave them alone and check back later to see how they are doing. A few days later.
Yeah, what's up lads? Let's see how these caterpillars of Paonias are doing. I'm not sure what else to say. Let's see how they are doing. We're literally going to see how they are doing. So let's see how they are doing. Yeah, I can't make it more entertaining than that. I'm just a humble old YouTuber. Alright people, don't bust my balls. Why?
Okay, so the final instars are kind of cool, especially when they have these bright red spots. Wow, marvelous creatures, and they have come a long way. So yes, this is the final instar. Today we are going through the video really fast. Usually MothCycles can take hours, but I felt like making a quicker paced video, but it shows still all the instars nicely. I hope you don't mind. Interestingly, I noticed some caterpillars curled up on the floor. Oops, I think I failed to notice they're already starting to pupate soon, faster than I anticipated. These are prepupal caterpillars. Typically they look dried out, smaller, and they've stopped walking around. Instead they lie on the floor. In nature they burrow in the soil before pupating. But due to a lack of substrate, I guess they're doing it in the floor of the cage now. I let all the caterpillars pupate in a plastic tub, lined with paper towel on the bottom of it, and now the waiting game begins. I stored the pupa in a vermiculite box to make sure they can climb over the edge, so they aren't trapped in the container when they emerge. It only took a few weeks for the moths to come out, which was a pleasant surprise. You see, the pupa of this species can overwinter in some circumstances, which would have taken significantly much longer. They seem to have 1 to 3 broods per year, so if your brood is early, there's a chance they will emerge the same year and produce another generation of moths before hibernating. Are you ready to see the moths? This episode went by pretty fast, by the way. I decided to make this episode one of my more faster paced ones of MothCycles just to experiment with the pacing. Get ready, I'm about to show you the amazing insects that we have raised together in captivity. Wow, look at that. Amazing, aren't they? Wait a second, this is the wrong species. Please stay focused. There it is, our first small-eyed sphinx. Okay, lighting is quite bad in my moth reading room, so we need a better lighting. So let's show it in daylight outdoors so we can see the colors better. This incredible hawk moth is found in the United States, but their range extends a little from Nova Scotia and Maine, south to Florida, west to British Columbia and Washington, California and Arizona, and also south into Mexico. And they are really pretty. Everybody should try and breed them, in my opinion. The adults of this moth do not feed. That means they only live for a short time because they run out of energy. Generally between 7 and 14 days time. Females are larger than the males, as is quite normal for moths. When the moths are startled, they reveal their hindwings and have a beautiful golden hue with blue eye spots that could scare away predators that harass them. And they have incredible caramel and chocolate color patterns. Incredible. I'm so happy I managed to raise these. Pairing them is very easy. Just place the cage in a dark space with plenty of airflow and the males will be attracted to the female's pheromone. This is what a pairing looks like. The male will be attached to the female and the tips of their abdomens will be connected. After this happens, the female will soon start laying eggs.
So on the top right we see that definitely some of them are pairing. But the truth is that all of them have paired, not only the top pair. Like literally all of them. And to me that's amazing news, because the colors on this insect are out of this world. Like the golden, the chocolate brown, the grey patterns, everything about them is so beautiful. This is a species I wanted to breed for a very long time. Looks like this year my dream can finally come true. Wow, so epic. Pairing this species is truly really easy. It's as simple as putting males and females together in the same enclosure. They do like a dark enclosure, don't give them artificial light. They do like a bit of ventilation, but that's about it. Like, the rest is like stealing candy from a baby, and here we see a male and a female pairing. In fact, there's probably going to be a lot more pairing males and females. Guys, I also have this really tiny specimen here that appears to be a mild aberration. What is an aberration, for those who don't know? It's basically an unusual variety that you wouldn't expect to see in the wild very often. Well, that's not true. Aberrations happen in the wild. It has nothing to do with being wild or domestic. It's more like an unusual phenotype. Wow, guys. This specimen is really small, but it's a little bit of an aberration. Can you see it? It has an unusual amount of gold on its wings. See that? Whoop. Hope the camera will give me a close-up without being too blurry. Come on, camera. Give me the close-up. Ah. Yeah, it has trouble focusing sometimes. Hey, but this is a really nice specimen. Look at how much gold it has in the wings. That's sort of unusual. It's not like a major aberration, but it's a nice little variation, you know. First time I have seen that for sure. Let's see if we can agitate it a little to show the eye spots.
Is this a shiny Pokemon? Well, I think so. I think this moth here is a little bit different from the typical small-eyed hawk moth. For example, it has a lot of golden yellow scales covering its forewings and body. I think this is an unusual variation. I know it's not super special, but it is nice to see, and you don't see this very often. So let's just admire this unusual specimen here for a moment. Our little aberration. In captivity it is quite easy. Females will scatter eggs randomly, often on the cage walls, and it seems they don't really need any host plant in order to lay eggs. They like to stick them to rougher surfaces though. Check that out. Can you see it? Those are indeed moth eggs. They're everywhere. And now it's my duty to collect them. When I'm saying a scary huge amount of eggs, kind of mean like really intimidating numbers of eggs. Like, oh my god, is it even possible for me to breed so many? Maybe I should give some away to my friends. Or some to the people who've been subscribed to my Patreon for a long time. Who knows? There you go. So now what I'm doing is I'm collecting the eggs with my hands. When I'm doing this, sometimes people are commenting, "Oh Bart, careful, you're squishing the eggs with your hands." Yeah, dude, I know how to handle Lepidopteran eggs, okay? Have you seen my channel? I have over 1,000 moth videos, alright? At this point, I'm starting to hope people will assume I have a little bit of experience. So, I mean, not trying to be arrogant and say that Bart Coppens never makes mistakes. I do. I am not the best, alright? But, I mean, give me the benefit of the doubt is what I'm saying. And these eggs are pretty strong, actually. And it's quite easy to handle them with your fingers without damaging them.
Just don't squish them as hard as you can, but you're like, hey, hello, cutie. Are you trying to join, huh? Are you joining us tonight? Oh, look at those beautiful eggs. This is just the start of it. Yes, you're famous now. You're on YouTube, you beautiful insect.
And a couple of weeks later, guess what? We'll expect to have babies, which means the life cycle was finished and ended right where we started. Life cycle completed, another episode finished. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the end of the life cycle, but the video isn't finished yet, because we always have a discussion in the MothCycles episodes. Let me give you a species rundown for a second. Thank you for watching the life cycle of Paonias myops, the small-eyed sphinx. This gorgeous hawk moth is one that I've always wanted to do a MothCycles episode about. But before we end the show, I like to end my web series with a presentation on its biology. Why? So that we can learn, of course. My channel is a mix of entertainment and education, and today our episode is about Paonias myops. It is found from Nova Scotia and Maine, south to Florida, west to British Columbia and Washington, California and Arizona, also south into Mexico. Therefore it is a widespread species, and many of my subscribers in the United States or Canada could potentially encounter them in the wild. Have you ever found one in the wild? Then leave a comment. The species seems to have 1 to 3 broods per year, depending on the local environment and if it allows them to reproduce. In Florida, they reportedly even have up to 3 broods a year, while in the north of the range, the shorter summer and harsher winter allows them to have just 1 brood a year. Generally speaking, they have 1, 2 or 3 broods, and the species overwinters as pupa. Burrow deeply in the soil, pupa face the cold temperatures in winter and wait for spring to arrive. Triggered by prolonged cold temperatures, followed by a consecutive rise in temperatures, the moths emerge in spring and reproduce. The moths do not feed and have no functional mouth parts, so they more or less starve after 2 weeks' time. This species is often associated with riparian habitats. Now some of you may be wondering, what is a riparian habitat? Riparian areas are lands that occur along watercourses and water bodies. Typical examples include creeks, floodplains and stream banks and wetlands. This species is relatively common and widely distributed along creeks and rivers at lower elevations, but also in forests at higher elevations in the mountains. Generally, the moths are associated with vegetation that appreciates a lot of moisture. The favorite host plants of this species are surface berries or amelanchier, huckleberries or vaccinium, and several types of cherry in the genus Pupae. There's also a lot of minor host plant described such as salix or willow, and birch or betula. Beyond that, literature also mentions briefly that they can possibly feed on hawthorn, grapevine, privet, linden and hazel. But really the most important ones described are the plants they rely on, which are highlighted in this list with bold black markings. Cherry in particular is one of their major host plants. Choke cherry, black cherry and sour cherry are some plants the caterpillars are often recorded on. Last but not least, what's interesting about the genus of Paonias is that there's multiple species of them. Now I'm not going to discuss all the species that are in this genus, but I'm going to briefly mention them because this YouTube video is about Paonias myops and not all its cousins. But behind the scenes I'm breeding more species of them. Let me show you. If you liked what you've seen today, then there's good news. There are more species of Paonias in the world too. This is one of the cousins of the species I showed today. This is Paonias excavatus, the blinded sphinx. And you can see how it's related to the small-eyed sphinx today. They both have the scallop wings and the eye spots on their hind wings. These two are strongly related relatives, and I breed these behind the scenes too. Could that be an idea for a future MothCycles episode? Who knows? These episodes take a long time to make and film, so it really depends if I'm not too busy. You know, I breed a lot of moths behind the scenes, and I don't make a MothCycles episode about every species I breed. I don't have the time for that. So, ladies and gentlemen, did you enjoy the show? Fantastic. If you did, I have a special message for you which to end the episode. My YouTube channel is completely demonetized by YouTube themselves. When I upload a video and people watch the video, I get views and subscribers. I don't make any money off that. YouTube does not support my channel. This channel is not supported by YouTube and I am not making any money from it in ad revenue at all. The only income that I get is donations and crowdfunding. You see, I have something called crowdfunding, and when people like my videos, when they like the show, when they appreciate it, they send me a tip. It can be as low as $1, and these tips and donations, they add up, especially if a lot of people do it, and that gives me the free time to and the resources to make this show. Believe it or not, people say YouTube is an easy job, you just have to make videos for a living. It's actually quite hard, especially if you make time-consuming and expensive content like me. Try filming the life cycle of an insect in captivity. It's not easy. You have to raise them successfully in the first place, but you also have to document their development every few days and edit it all together in a way that makes it seem coherent. That costs a lot of time, and videos like these cost months to produce and sometimes even years. That's not a joke, you can see it. Anyway, but there's some good news. I recently got a very generous donation of $153. Wow! A $153 donation, but not just that. There was also a very touching message attached to it. Now this donation will protect his full identity, but it was sent to me by a person named Sylvain. I hope I pronounced your name right, Sylvain. I would like to tell you thank you so much for your very generous contribution. It will help a lot. Some of you will be knowing that I'm investing in conservation efforts in the rainforest. This channel will do reforestation of the Brazilian rainforest soon, and studying and documenting rare butterflies and moths there. So all the money I raise online, I will spend it on education and conservation of insects. Videos like these also help to raise awareness for insects, to make people care about them, to make it fun, entertaining and educational. I think that's a really good combination. So let's read the message that Sylvain has left us. And I quote, I have it here on paper. Dear Bart, I would like to thank you for creating such good content. I am very impressed by people like you that are driven by their passion. You and I share a very similar passion. I grew up in France and traveled to many countries in my childhood with my father to find new species of butterflies. I grew up studying butterflies and moth life cycles, raising many species of butterflies and moths every season. Our yard was a jungle filled with plants and caterpillars from all around the world. It became more than a hobby over the years, sometimes turning into an obsession. Today, well, I live in the, let's omit the details of where this person lives to protect their privacy, but they live in a US state and keep learning and breeding about many local species. I still travel and do not miss an opportunity to find new species to breed, but at a different pace with my young kids. I heard about your next project in Brazil. I'm very happy for you. I wish you the best for 2022. Hope one day we could have a casual chat. Now, Sylvain, I hope you don't mind me sharing my message with the people who watch my channel. I thought it was touching. I deleted some of the details from the message so your privacy is protected, like the location where you are living and some other details. So it should be a little bit anonymous right now, except for the fact that you're called Sylvain. But I just wanted to share this message because it did cheer me up, and not only am I very grateful for your donation, but I'm also grateful for your encouraging word. It does help, you know. I put a lot of time into this stuff, and when I hear people enjoy it, it makes me happy. So thank you very much for the encouragement. To the other people who are watching this video, if you haven't subscribed yet, click the subscribe button. Check out my videos. I made over 1,000 moth videos that you can watch for free. And if you really like the show and you want it to continue in the future, consider supporting it via PayPal, Patreon, or any other means. Options are available in the description. And it will ensure the existence of this channel in the future. Because when things get kind of financially difficult, I don't know, it could be really hard to continue this channel. Anyway, thank you very much. Bye bye and see you next episode.